Peace, 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 love, light, and blessings. What's going on? It's your brother Key, and welcome to my workshop. Hold on, let me put my glasses on. All right, so I have some more information, self-study, and also study of what is going on in the mind, the warfare, and also the reconstruction of my genetic code, my DNA, trying to figure out exactly what's happening within me and also around me. So today I'm going to be discussing a few topics, and I have 5 written out, and I'm going to go off of what I learned, So I have 5 topics, and they are from 1. The first one is, in the beginning was God. The second is attempt at being free. And 3, not in 3, but number 3, destruction of the home. 4 is subconscious destruction of self and others. And last but not least is number 5, regenerate, redesign, and reconstruct. Okay, so So number 1, let me get a tissue, wipe my nose really quick. Okay. So number 1, in the beginning was God. The concept of what God is has been so dissected and, just like, I don't want to say plagiarized, but it has been defiled. And our concept of what God is, I know my concept of what God is now better. It has been regenerated, redesigned, and reconstructed. But for a while, I thought God was something different than what it truly is. And in fact, I know God now to be source and close to me. In fact, I'm close to God. Like my genetic structure, my original genetic structure, my original design is as close to God as anything in this world. And it was, kind of colonized a little bit. It was destroyed. And for a while I was trying to figure out what God was, and I went through, a religious phase of my life. I was in church, but I always had like this rebellious side. Like I was always trying to figure out in a different way who God is, what God is, people laying their hands on me, shaking me up and telling me all these different things. And I truly believe that we have a spirit, we have, like something that is more powerful when we're together. Community, communion, the Holy Spirit, if you want to call it that. And all of these things, even, people's conception, like their mind, their perception, of what God is like Jesus, or maybe Buddha, Muhammad, all of these different individuals, right? And when it comes to Christianity, which is what I was raised to learn most of my life, as close to what God is, I learned that Christ consciousness is aligned with the original consciousness of what God truly is. Christ is derived from original Egyptian study and so forth, and even beyond that. But not to get too deep into that, basically God is this right here, our mind, and the source of what we are, who we are. And if God is perverted, and it is colonized and it is violated, we'll have a misconception of who we are and what we are and where we come from. And if you destroy somebody's history, and if you destroy a person's, recollection of themselves, they are weak. They are, they're far from being free, which brings me to my next point. Number 2, attempt at being free. I remember when I was younger, when I was around, I want to say like 7, maybe 8 years old, around the 3rd grade, I was living in Grenada, and I woke up during the middle of the night, and I just remember trying to think about the universe and what was happening, like in my mind could only be described as like my conscious mind exploding, and it felt like pain for a moment, like it was a sensation of pain. I remember just having like a headache, and that was one of my first attempts at me trying to figure out who I was. Because while I was in Grenada, when I was living down there, I was going to school. I had a little bit more freedom. My grandmother would let me go off, get haircuts. During school hours, you was able to leave the school grounds in order to go back home and eat, or maybe stay on the school grounds, your choice. There was a form of freedom that was not allowed up here, because I also went to school in America, and there was a difference, right? So my mind and my body and my spirit, because our spirit is aware, our source that we come from when we are in a different place, notices that we're in a different place, and it's like, oh, I'm not in a box anymore, let me expand, let me breathe. And what happened is my mind attempted to breathe and attempted at being free, right? So that was kind of like the God in me trying to pick up, because we all are God, and I don't care what anybody says. If you're convinced you're not God, then you die. That's basically what happens. You're basically enslaved. A part of you just dies over and over and over and over. Instead of living and instead of being alive, you start to die continuously over and over. That's what it says in the Bible when in the first book in Genesis, when Adam and Eve ate, it was said when they ate of the apple of the tree of truth of knowledge or whatever, when they ate of that tree, or the forbidden fruit, whatever the fruit was, because it doesn't have to be of knowledge of truth and life, whatever, you can go back and do the research yourself. When they ate of this fruit that they was forbidden to eat of, what basically happened to them was they died and they fell. That's what was said, and then they was banished from the garden. So then I started to think, like, if that happened to you, like in modern day, where you eat of something that you're not supposed to eat, what happens to you? You die. But what if you don't die? What if you refuse that fruit? Or what if a miracle happens where you notice that you're being hijacked mentally or spiritually, and you're like, you know what, I'm not eating of this fruit anymore? What would happen to you, right? So if you cannot be destroyed mentally, physically, or spiritually, this brings me to my next point, number 3, which is what happens, which is what has been happening, especially to melanated individuals, black people, more commonly known as black people, African Americans. The destruction of our home happened. Now, this part, I don't really like it, because at this current moment in time, I'm kind of still in this part. I'm still in this phase, which I'm trying to get out of, and it's very difficult, because there's people around me that's making it more difficult. And I don't hate them for it, but it's like, if somebody is programmed and they're okay with that program, or they're okay with the what they're going through. They're comfortable with it, and they're just completely in it. Kind of like the movie, like The Matrix, when it was said that Neo being freed was kind of risky, but if like on a normal time after a certain age, it's kind of hard for somebody's mind to be freed, especially when they're okay with their ignorance and okay with being plugged into the system. So basically, number three, the third, is destruction of the home. Now, destruction of the home, I know this happened a long time ago. I grew up in a home that was basically terrible. Um, it was, and I mean terrible in the union. Like my father and my mother and father, whatever. My parents were, they didn't have a functional relationship. And the first, the first things that I learned, because children soak in, even if we don't want that to be the truth, even if I didn't want it to be the truth, that's what the truth is. I soaked in how to destroy and how a dysfunctional relationship is, and I learned the reverse versus the forward movement, or how to succeed. I learned how to fail first, which made my life very difficult. And maybe like, well, not everybody has comes up with the best background and they still make it. True, but some people don't. The vast majority don't. And I'm not saying that I'm in that vast majority, but I have noticed that a lot of things that I really wanted to do, a lot of things that I really, 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 truly wanted to accomplish in my life was just destroyed in its prime or in its essence because of the union that I saw. Now, when I started to learn this, when I started to see this in my elder years, in my more mature years, like in my 20s, especially after like my car accident, when it's like I kind of broke free from the matrix, I started to see that even though I wanted something really badly, I couldn't force it on anybody, especially my parents. And if something is destroyed, it's very uncommon that it can be put back to its original form. Like if you break an egg, if you have, like, let's say a tree or a stick or something like that, or a rock, and you smash it into pieces, no matter how well you try your best to put it back together, there's just going to be certain pieces that are just missing. And the destruction of my home, I noticed that there were pieces of myself missing that I was just incapable of getting back. And I had to accept that in a way that, it's been taking, I've had to continue to accept that because I'm still accepting it. And honestly, I don't think I'll ever really be completely okay with seeing the destruction of with allowing the destruction of my home to be a reality. Like, I'm constantly trying to rebuild, and I'm pretty sure for the rest of my life I'll be trying to rebuild until I'm able to create my own home. And that brings me to point number 4, the subconscious destruction of self and others. Now, because of my parents not being able to, I guess, have a successful relationship or whatever they went through, the independent mindset that was adopted by the woman, and the frail mindset that was adopted through the mind of the man, or running away from the responsibilities of being a man, protector, provider. What basically happened was the man was castrated and the woman was told, you don't need him anyway. And the most terrible thing about that is the man was, instead of fighting, because I noticed my father was like a little bit more, I don't want to say easygoing, but he didn't share with me what to avoid. He didn't share, he showed me a couple things in my life. And I appreciate him for that. But as I got older, I noticed that there were certain things in him that was just not operational. To be completely honest, I've also heard, I've heard a person like say like, like me coming out of, like me being here is a miracle. Like me having this mind is a miracle, because the way my mother and my father is, it's like their mindsets and how they are, it doesn't seem like I come from neither one of them, right? So I noticed my father's mind was more so like just on some like whatever. Like he was okay with, he didn't really celebrate me growing up much. He didn't really teach me how to be a man. And my mother more so resented my father, which made me have a subconscious destruction of him. Even now to this day, I feel like I still have that. I'm trying to erase that, because subconsciously I am my father, genetically, physically, mentally. There are certain parts of me that just operate like him, and because of my mother's resentment towards him and her in a trying to be both the mother and the father, which she could not handle, because no woman can assume the role of a man and no man can assume the role of a woman, righteously anyway. What basically happened is I was programmed to subconsciously hate my father and hate myself. And for a while I went through a very abusive relationship with my mom's. Verbally, she would, just like be so angry. And I could tell it was more so towards my dad, but I would catch that energy, and it built up inside of me, which started to make me hate myself. And in some ways my masculinity would start to be castrated as well. And I noticed as a man, learning to be me, myself, and growing up with certain things like not exactly knowing how to communicate with myself and others, was because of a lot of, just internal, subconscious destruction because of where I came from. And the last point to bring all this together, what I've been doing, number 5, is regenerating, redesigning, and reconstructing. Now the regenerating part comes from forgiveness and also allowing myself to just breathe. It's not easy though. I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy, because you have to first accept what you have, right? And that can be very it can take a while. I feel like it's been about like I've been trying to accept who I am more deeply, especially like around 2015 I had a car accident. But when I started to truly have my walk with Source, with the consciousness that is described as Christ consciousness, or the ascended, or the higher up, the zenith mindset, I've been walking with that for over 10 years. And I've been regenerating basically who I am, because as a melanated brother, I have also learned that even though my parents they had a, like a dysfunctional relationship when it came to their union, I came out of that. And maybe that was a miracle. Maybe that was the melanin or some form of source regenerating, and I came out of that because my mind has changed in the past few years to where like I'm able to see different parts of myself that relates to my history, that relates to my studies, that relates to people that has been on this planet for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. And I'm like, okay, something is alive in me, which is explained why some people has considered my case, especially after my car accident, to be miraculous, and why at all the years while I was growing up, even if they was dysfunctional, I would always have people tell me there's something special in you. There's something that is alive in you. Even though you are having difficulties, there's something going on, but you have something. And I'm pretty sure that was me doing my best to regenerate my mind. Right? Now the redesigning part is, I'm pretty sure, gonna be continuous. And to my whole life, if I have children, I'm passing it on to them. It's the same thing. Because basically what's happened with black people, African Americans, is we've been told that we are less. In our books, in this side of the planet, I grew up in New York, and I also travel the world. I've been on cruises and stuff like that. I haven't been to like Asia and, back to the motherland in Africa yet. But what I have, closest I had to that was a girlfriend from Liberia. But what I have noticed is redesigning and reconstructing the mind takes time, and it takes information. It takes you kind of hacking your own brain if you are African American at this point, because in our books, like I was saying before, we are told that our history starts as slaves. Not true. Slavery is young, like 500 years in America when it comes to the history that we're being taught here. But what about all of the other history, all of the pyramids, all of the empires, all of the dynasties that are all over the world, the Moorish history, all of the history that the Romans got from us, that the Europeans got from us. The European culture, or whatever you want to call it, the Caucasians are only 6,000 years old, or a little bit. Like, come on. Like, if you actually start to think about who you are, I'm not here to attack anybody, but even because I don't even have to talk about Asians, because technically, if you think about Asians and Chinese and Japanese and Redskin Indians and Hispanics, Mexicans, Aztecs, all these individuals, when you start to hack your own life and your own brain, and you start to really try to figure out what God is, you see the truth, you start to see the BS. And to run back through everything, in the beginning was God. Who is God? What is source? What is the closest thing to source? The black man, the melanated mind, the pineal gland, the source of all. Attempt at being free. We've been fighting, and I don't know about anybody else, but as a black man, I've been fighting, and it feels like also right now it's very difficult because our women have been ripped from us, and it's like now they're trying to help us. And this feminism thing is just like really crazy. And it's like, if you beat a man, I'm gonna kind of go off topic a little bit, but I'm gonna speak a little. I'm gonna speak on this. If you beat a man or you beat a person down, because I suffered this for a long time, unfortunately under the hands of my mom, and my pops wasn't around to like save me and shit, and all the rest of the women just took a turn on me. I'm talking about the women in my house because they were so pissed off at the men that they chose, at their poor choices. If you beat somebody down every day, every week, for being something real, who truly is now the abuser? The person that taught you to do that, or you? And I say that in a way like, who taught us to beat ourselves or to beat our children? Who taught our women to hate the men? Who taught the men to destroy their women? Where did these things come from? Where did these attitudes and these behaviors come from? And when you start to look at the root and you start to look at the design of these things, it is systematic destruction and oppression of people. But I'm going to tell you something right now. Black people, melanated people, African people, even though real name is Ethiopia, or whatever. There's different names if you want to research it yourself, as I'm doing my own research. Our people are rising, and it can be stopped. We are not the minority. We are the majority. I know that one day what I have learned is going to be passed on to other people, and that's how I'm going to live. My flesh is going to be gone, and my energy will transform and transfer to another form or somewhere else, something else. I've already accepted that. I've already had my close call with death, or whatever you want to think it is, which is just a transformation of energy and soul back to source, through source, however you want to call it. So what are you going to do? Because I've decided that I'm going to do my best, no matter how slow or how fast. I'm going to do my best to learn to be a blessing. And, my body has taken quite substantial hits through the first phase of this research, because I was unable to physically give myself more energy, and I was also subject to bad habits, which I don't really want to go into right now, but just to touch on it, I was subject to some of the most destructive habits that a male can take on, which was watching pornographic content, masturbation, and orgasm, and having too many orgasms, which was draining me of my fluids and my essence. And what basically happened was I was abused. I was given this horrible systematic chain, like I don't even know what to call it, just horrible thing to destroy me. And I was just beat down. I was taught how to die. I was taught how to kill myself. over and over and over. And I practiced killing myself over and over and over. And I said, no more. I have to be different. And watching pornography, masturbation, and having too many orgasms became an addiction, to where like I was stuck in my sexual nature, my root chakra, what have you, my sacral chakra, in the lows. And I wasn't able to use my third eye and my crown. Also, I was always a verbal individual, or orator. You know, I was always able to, I always spoke how I feel, which got me in trouble sometimes. And my heart was also tampered with. So it's like, you know, I should be dead. I definitely should be dead, for sure. I definitely should be dead, but I didn't die. So if I didn't die, and I went through almost the destruction of every single channel that a human being needs to be successful or to be the best, the apex, I'm here to do something real. As 50 Cent said, because they got hit like I got hit, but they not breathing. Basically saying there's a lot of people in this world who got hit with some of the same trials and tribulations as I did, but their minds changed for the worse. Not always their physical being structure, because my physical body has been changed. I have screws and bolts in my bones, but my mind, which is the most valuable piece, didn't die. It evolved. So, and I've watched other people once again saying they've gone through similar things like I've gone through: abuse, molestation, violation, abandonment, and just like indoctrinated, but they died. Just like when they ate of that fruit, and when they ate of what they ate of something, they ate something that God told them not to eat, and they died. I didn't die. It's like something happened to me. I don't know if I refused that fruit or if I refused to eat of my own destruction, even though I have been eating of my own destruction, which is what I was speaking of when it comes to the porn, masturbation, and orgasm, overly orgasming, you know, sex with women and stuff like that, which is very practiced. I decided to change, and the toys and the things that I was told to get, to give the things that I was told to give myself in order to kill myself, I started to refuse. I said, I'm good. I'd rather not. I'm good. So I urge you to think to yourself, like, if you're not where you want to be at in your life, how can you change that? I'm not where I want to be at because I'm 30 years old right now, and for 22 years, right around the time my car accident happened the day before my birthday, for 20 plus years, I was destroying myself, and I was told how to destroy myself. And even up to now, I've been fighting between regenerating, redesigning, and reconstructing, and destruction. And it has been very difficult because I also have people around me that subconsciously choose to destroy me when they see or feel me doing something different because they've been programmed. And in a way that kind of makes me sad, because now it's like you have to think, if you're told that the people that you love, let's say you have 100 members in your family, you're told that you have to leave those 100 and you have to be the start of something, which is what I believe I have to be. Not saying that I don't come from some level of, because I believe I come from some form of divine family and royalty and positive, just something real. But my family right now is just, they're okay with being separated or suffering, and I have to step away for the moment. If you're told that you have to do that, you may be the only chance that your family has to survive, or maybe there are people outside of your family and you have to, that need you. Because that's where I feel like I'm at right now. I know this is kind of like this is turning from educational to venting, but it's the same. It's kind of intertwined. It's real. The mental state, especially of the black man right now, is so poor because we've been destroyed over and over and over and over, and our families have also been taught to destroy themselves over and over and over and over. And I'm just not okay with that anymore. I'm not okay with destroying myself or allowing some type of spiritual, metaphysical being to convince me that what I'm doing is not real, or I need to continue to destroy myself instead of building myself. I'm not okay with that. And I don't think anybody should be okay with that. I don't think anybody should be okay with what's happening in their life if it's not reflecting God and the divineness of the source and all things that are true and real and divine and righteous in nature. And if you feel yourself going in the opposite, if you feel yourself fighting to breathe, don't stop giving it your best effort until something happens. Because look, sometimes there are mortars. Like, I've already accepted to a certain extent that what happened to me happened for a reason, but I'm not okay with accepting that I'm a failure and that my mission and that what I was put here to do, because I'm here, I'm alive, I'm breathing in ways that I shouldn't be. I'm here. So, if you're here, do what I'm doing, which is be the one to be the example. Because I was a huge screw up, or I was screwing up, I was messed up, I was destructive, I was so many things because I was taught to be bad. I was taught to be terrible. And sometimes I was expressing myself, but instead of being led the right way with my energy, my genius, and my artistic expression, I was manipulated, and that turned into destructive behaviors, and I was beat. So it was like I was told to destroy, and when I did destroy, I was punished. And when I tried to revert back to being a creator or a designer, a builder, I was beat even worse. But I've decided, even if the behavior reflects God and I'm pushing it out, and it's gonna be, like, punished, because there's warfare going on here. There's spiritual and physical warfare happening. And if I'm going to be violated, cool. But before I get violated, I'ma fight. I don't care. I'ma shake. To my last breath. It don't matter how much I have. And heck, me fighting might get me another 20 years. Might get me another 30. Instead of just being okay with the bullshit. Because I'm not okay with it. When I was younger, I couldn't do nothing. I was bullied. And even now, it seems like I'm trying to find my tribe, trying to gather my people, and I've been in solitude, and it's easier. I've been controlled. I've been getting controlled mentally, spiritually, physically controlled in a way that is almost disgusting. I'm almost disgusted by it because I see it clearly. Because my God, my pineal gland, my original programming is like, this is not the original construct of what is real, of what should be real, of what is true, of what is divine purpose. This is not supposed to be it. So I'm fighting it to the best of my ability. And I keep hitting roadblocks. I keep ending up in the same cycle. Sometimes my positive cycle is broken. My constructive cycle is broken. My constructive behavior is broken, and I'm thrown back into, destructive behaviors. I'm trying. And I'm really, really hoping that my efforts and me trying and me figuring some things out is going to be of, use to somebody or some people, not just one person. To heck with it being one person. That's selfish. I want it to affect as much people as possible so they don't have to go through what I went through or what I'm going through, or maybe they can break free even if I'm in chains. Because it's wrong. It's wrong. And I know it's wrong. And everybody that contributed or that contributes to this, and behind the hidden smiles and the hidden, behaviors of, maybe a day or a month or 2 months or 3 months of okay, borderline, are you okay, pleasing behavior, bro. The other 9, the other majority, the 70%, is too detrimental just to accept 30% kind of good, or it's not going to work. So if you gain that percentage, if you gain like 30% of people talking to you and you feel like you're in a cage, break out that goddamn cage. Break out. Because that 70% ain't lying to you. That 70% of you getting violated, you getting told that you may be less, or maybe you feeling that you're less, or you being incapable of stretching, or growing, that's not fake. That's real. That's real. It's no mistake that black men overpopulate prisons. It's no mistake that people from Moorish, Ethiopian, Africana is the name of a white man, but the African nation, the Ethiopian nation, the Asiatic black men, the people from the original tribes are going through this, but yet we are violated. Fight. We need to come together. And I'm going to do my best to also connect and start to put myself back with my people, because I've had this, and to close, I have had this cloak over me, this false identity that has been programmed into like my identity recognition system. Like, people are seeing me for a different person, like, and the only people that's able to see me are the people that's able to see past the shallow waters and into the depths of my soul and being, which is very rare, because very few people have that patience, or not even throwing hate or all on them. I've been incapable of staying around long enough to give my identity. And that's also my fault, because destruction of self has been programmed into my mind, body, and spirit, which I'm trying to detox out. So please be patient with me. I'm trying. And I want to be also just a little bit more confident in what I'm doing, because I know that it's real. And I don't hate any other cultures of the world. In fact, I have Chinese inscription on my arm. Some out of ignorance and some out of artistic expression. I have art all over me. I have a sugar skull, which is celebrated in Mexican culture. So I love different cultures other than my own. But I also know that I love myself more now because I know who I am. And I appreciate everything that I've gone through, including the struggle, because it's taught me that I'm not weak, that I am strong. And there are agents, individuals out here, both close and far, that want me to stay quiet, that want me to stay low, that want me to die. And nah. That's what I have to say to that. I'm not clipping myself. Yeah. I hope that this, I know this was a long video, but I hope this kind of gave like some insight to somebody. If one person watches this, 2 people, 3 people, whatever, I'm gonna try and get more information out there. And also, as I've been in my studies, I have a couple books that I'm reading in front of me. They're not completely, just like focused on black culture, but more so me trying to reprogram my mind. And yeah, before I can assume my position, I believe I have to go through just one more level or two, or maybe a few levels of just training in order to be responsible enough so that I can give the information that I can to people in a way. And I have to get out of this place where I'm at right now. I'm currently in the basement of my grandmother, and I'm trying to get the hell up out of this place. It's not easy because I have besides just living here, which I'm happy about, the support it's here, but it's like not at the same time. So like these grounds are very cold. It's not a lot of love in this place. It feels more, dangerous and more like representing of like a prison than a place where I can flourish. So yeah, I'm doing what I can to get out of here and breathe. So I appreciate the you tuning in, and as I figure out the best way of how to get this information out and also regenerate, recalibrate, reconstruct, and redesign myself. Oh, that's more. I will give out as much as I can so that maybe somebody out there can grab some of this information, even though my videos are mad long. They're very long. Yeah. So, it's your brother Key. And Key, Key, stands for Keep Elevating Yourself. But I also am close to changing my name because, even though my parents did give me like 3 names, to be completely honest, I don't really like my names like that. Sorry, Mom and Dad. I don't. I don't feel like I'm represented, and I don't feel like it's my real identity. And I'm doing what I can to find that. So, as I continue my regeneration, redesign, and reconstruction, I hope that you are on the same journey. And the topics that we discussed, take your time, figure out how you can best become your best self and just continue. So, yeah. And I know this probably was a little slow, my pace was like a little slow and all of that, but, it is early in the morning and I had this on me and I wanted to get it off. So, yeah, I believe in you, and, you're a reflection of me. So, as I'm a reflection of you, as we are a reflection of God, the Most High, the Source. So, continue to grow. And yo, look, listen. Do your best and have fun, baby. Because look, listen, this life is yours. All right? Stay blessed and less stressed. It's your brother Key. Peace.